Got it?
Woo! Way to go. Oh, thank you.
No, that was a test. You've won a special prize.
The OCD award.
I was told to just kind of launch into it, so here we go. I could be your cowboy concubine. You dress me old, put a pack of Winstons in my pocket, and buy me Justin boots and a horseshoe buckle. We drop through the Manzanita on horseback, tromp on deer paths that lead through scrub oak and conifer. Leave our boots on your cabin stoop, heels on the wall. Through the rusted loam shrugs as we ride, and the Manzanitas snap like chicken bones, I can live chomping on hay grass and listening, catching sunsets like moths and wondering why the horses are restless these days. We just take them by the bit like two old hicks, married since high school. I'd be your cabin boy. Caretaker is all you need. Someone to learn the local lingo and get you in on the grapevine, get the blue hairs under the hair dryers talking, the plaid old men wondering about the two of them, about that young one and the married woman, about that Indiana gal and that boy of hers. Like two small-time bank robbers, we'd be too polite to be dangerous, too dangerous to defy. But your cabin is full of knots. Though without knots, there'd be holes we'd have to plaster, cover the cabin in cat-tongue stucco, making it look like your husband's home, a home for the married, as if for the aged and infirm. I grew up Catholic, and I have uncles that were priests, and they both left the priesthood and started families, and they left the priesthood not to start families, but as they were frustrated with trying to reform the church from within. And I, in 2009, visited Paris, France, and visited the Notre Dame Cathedral. And so this is a poem about that. And I didn't realize that until I wrote this poem, that the cathedral is actually owned by the state of France and leased to the Catholic Church. I thought that was kind of a telltale fact. The 28 buttresses of Notre Dame. Hard to imagine this being built, that you were not always here. Was it a jovial lover under St. Stephen's bed, whose stolen rib forms your audible arch, whose slumber was rifled to make your vault? All your suitors, first with their indulgences, then with their uncertainties, their cult of reasons, making a pantry of your pews. Even the communards burned your chairs. But now this is all behind you, behind the galvanized grid of quatrefoil chunks of facade, as discarded as caprolites hunker in the shadowing arcs. Mowers leave oil in the gravel, where toes and talons, chimera bones, litter the packed stones like a zoo animal's pen. Once you were a tigress, clutching murdered hawks, like the tigers Sumatrans ward off with backward masks. Now you're the tiger being tossed frozen chickens, pacing, matted, cloud-eyed, circling, then lying in a heap of haunches, shuddering not like a torrent, more as if the rain has worn down, stone-pitted your eyes and severed the heads off your gargoyles. This next one I wrote after hearing a woman yell at her kids at the Oregon Aquarium. Backwards. Words slide through fingers pinching rosary beads, each prayer like a link on a bicycle chain, ratcheting past our uvulas with a click. Yet these words are as loud as tantrums, freewheeling from our coarse throats, the full spate of bile pulling timber down canals. We're not used to being listened to. Part of the horror is we know we're being heard. Already our words have hammered the hearts and accused the minds of those we trust our backs to. We'd take back whole words over ossicles, even if we got past their ears. Their oracles cannot change our future. Words are not just water. There is salt in the frenzied wakes. Sharks gliding like white-bellied moons, gibbous and waxing their hides, teeth like a sprocket. A paw permitting only one direction. For sharks, time is current flowing, incensing ampullae, over spiracles, out gills. They can't swim backwards. The blade of ocean would stick on their jagged scales, popping them off like pieces of silver, shrapnelled confetti, mixing with blood on the monger's floor. I had the poem in here, but there it is. Okay. I have 3 cats. This is the one about the, not the possum-colored one, not the rat slaughtering one. This is the one about the youngest of my cats, or our cats. Not kitten, but cat. I told you about the mange, the ear mites and the curdled pus of her eyes. Eyes and ears big like the moon is on the horizon. The moon that you said was always the same. It only looks big when low enough to compare. I told you her punum was so small and sweet, and same for her body, so small compared to that head of eyes and ears. You didn't see her play with the crane fly, but that too would not have changed you, for you, youth is not innocent, nor excuse, and why you called her not kitten, but cat. I'll finish with Edges, which is the one that was that you were told about in the bio that won the Ruth Stone Poetry Prize and was published in Hunger Mountain. And this was my first poem ever to be published. Started out pretty good. I don't know where to start. Far before the moon pulled the tide to your chin, before your groin became a grotto,